Hey, what's up? This is Chosen. Hope you're having a fantastic Friday. This is going to be a Raid Shadow Legends video about the champion that I think may just very well be the most power crept champion that I've ever seen in all my years covering Raid since the beginning. So we'll talk about this champion and why I think that and their updated grades and all that. And you can let me know if you agree or disagree or who would qualify for this title if we were going to have a title for the most power crept champion in the history of Raid. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so any guesses on who I'm going to talk about? It's going to be in the Knight Revenant faction. And I'm going to talk about Hegemon. I think Hegemon may be the most power crept champion that I've seen in Raid, which might be a hot take. You might disagree, but let me explain why. So first of all, just a quick refresher course for Hegemon. You've got the A1, that is a multi-hitter with a chance to place the decreased speed. And then you've got the AoE A2 that is going to place the decreased attack for 2 turns and also has a chance to block active skills for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. And then what really made Hegemon insanely special is this passive right here, where always goes first every round, and then an R right here of increased ally crit rate in all battles by 19%, and then the base attack of 1487 to go along with the AoE nuke right here. And the multiplier on this AoE nuke is going to be a 3.7, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So first, I want to pull up the Hegemon tier list grades that we have over on our current iteration of the overall champions tier list. So there we go, and this is going to be the grades currently for Hegemon. So I'll go through and talk about this real quick. So Arena, I feel like a year ago this would have been like a 97. This is on a 0 to 100 scale, by the way. So crept down a little bit to 87. Faction War is still really solid at locking down waves and placing decreased speed on bosses and stuff like that. Doom Tower can be nice for the waves. You're never going to be using this guy against the Demon Lord clan boss, and then probably not super good in the Hydra either. And then some of the dungeons, you know, really no super specialty there. The thing saving Hegemon is going to be this scarcity grade right here, because he's got that really cool and unique passive that allows him to go first every round, which obviously can be a lot of fun in the arena, and there's really no other champion in the game that has anything like that. So as a Void Legendary who's never going to be hitting weak and going to be having that really interesting passive that gives him a very high maxed out scarcity score. Now, if we get another champion in the game that does something like that passive, obviously that would drop. The progression score, pretty decent, because he can lock out the block cooldown abilities and then also help you progress in the arena. He'd be an insane champion early game in the arena for sure, but the end game score is a little bit worse because he becomes pretty niche and he is countered a lot better nowadays. So, okay, first of all, like I said, we would talk about the multiplier. 3.7 AoE nuke on a 4-turn cooldown. 4-turn cooldowns have really been power crept in the last year or two. You really need to get this to a 3-turn cooldown at this point, and then also 3.7. I mean, we consider Foley to be a little bit power crept, and his multiplier is a 4.0. Trunda's up there at 6.0, and some people think that she's been power crept a little bit because of champions like Baron and stuff that provide a little bit more utility. So 3.7, just not going to be cutting it anymore as an AoE damage dealer, and also the fact that it's a 4-turn cooldown is doubly power creeping in the AoE ability here of Hegemon. But then there's also a little bit of other reasons that Hegemon has seen a little bit of a decrease in his overall power and his overall desirability in the community. First of all, the Stone Skin set, that was brutal to Hegemon. That one addition to the game, Stone Skin, was not something that was going to help Hegemon in the meta. But then also, on top of that, Hegemon was really strong in the meta from back in the day when everybody was doing like double booster, debuffer, and then a nuker, and trying to go first in every fight, at least in like the mid tier of arena where people were trying to farm the arena. Everybody wanted to like go first and stuff. So Hegemon would just hard counter that, because it's like, it doesn't matter if you have 400 speed. Hegemon's going to go first, lock you out, and then game over. Your team isn't tanky at all. But there's been a big transition in Raid to some of these Ally Protect, Nekarit type teams that are super tanky with Stone Skin and Duchess and Hyper Defense tanky squads that feature like one damage dealer and a reviver and a lot of utility in them. So Hegemon every 4 turns trying to block active skills, it's not going to do any good in a long fight because you'll have somebody there that can block debuffs or something. So this would need to be like a AoE strip and then a nuke where you can block active skills or something if it's going to be a 4-turn cooldown in order to stay relative and kind of how the arena is played towards like the mid to early upper tiers. And as you can see, if I load up my Gold 2 Tag Team Arena, which is decently high, it's not insanely top of the meta Gold 4, you know, top 2,000 players or anything, but Gold 2 is decently tough. And I used to see Hegemons all of the time, just littered all over in Gold 2. And now I'm mainly just seeing the normal suspects, your Duchess, your Siphi, your Rotos, and Morta is everywhere, Trunda, Arbiter, you know, Tormund, but very rarely do I come across Hegemon. I do still see it, but it's not constantly. It's not like a Duchess or something, or a Morta where every single page has got, you know, 5 to 10 Hegemons in it, which is what it used to be a year or two ago. So I can tell just based on a few things that he's kind of sliding down in terms of desirability in the raid community. You know, back in the day, Hegemon would have been like somewhere around here, but he just keeps sliding down a little bit and sliding down a little bit, sliding down a little bit, and now he's currently sitting right here in like the back end of the top 20 of Void Legendaries. And honestly, since the release of the Hydra, you could almost slide like Venus above him and some other options. He's gonna keep creeping closer to that 20th best Void Legendary, which would have been insane to say like 2 years ago. So yeah, that is my hot take for the day. I think there's a decent case to be made for Hegemon being the most power crept that we've ever seen a legendary in raid compared to what they were at their peak to what they are now. And you could also make a case for champions maybe like Martyr or Valkyrie. I did a video a little while ago talking about some of the most power crept champions, and I think Hegemon being a Void legendary and how he was just running roughshod all over PvP. I thought it would be fun to revisit this topic and talk about the fact that I think he's fallen off a little bit. He's still good. I'm not making this video saying that Hegemon is trash. I mean, we still have him in the top 20 on Void Legendaries. He's still above average. I'm saying compared to what he was in terms of falling down a little bit and being power crept off of that pedestal is what I'm saying. But there is still definitely teams that Hegemon is going to do good against. And if you add him to your account, he does still have the maxed out scarcity score. So he is still a fun champion to have at your disposal. I just don't think he's like that god tier Lego that we viewed him as back in the day. But let me know where you agree or disagree and who you think is the most power crept champion in your opinion the last few years compared to what they are now versus what their peak was. That'll do it for me on this one. I appreciate all of you. Remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy daily Raid Shadow Legends content. I'll see you soon in the next video. Thanks. Peace.